desires to work to get a solution to this very challenging problem that our state is facing, but let's be honest, that every state is facing challenges in infrastructure, would not have happened, and we would not be where we are today without all of you. And so I want to thank you for your efforts over the last several months, but I also want to particularly thank Speaker Gunn and his team. We have worked diligently, certainly since the end of the legislative session, but I will tell you, the last week of the legislative session, I bet he and I spent 12, 14, 16 hours a day trying to hash out details, and it's from that foundation where we find ourselves today. And so I want to thank him, and I want to thank the members of the House and the members of the Senate, because while we think we have a plan that's going to be voted on today that is a good plan, at the end of the day, it is the individual members of the House and the individual members of the Senate that are the ones who actually have to cast the votes today to make this become a reality. And so the governor's leadership has been critical to getting us to where we are today. The House's willingness to discuss this with us and work through the details, because when you're in the legislative process, the details matter. The words on the page really matter. And so sometimes it takes longer than any of us would like. Sometimes we don't get everything that we want, but the reality is the end solution today is over $1 billion more in public infrastructure in Mississippi over the next 5 years, and that is a win for everybody. That is not a Republican issue. Infrastructure is not a Republican issue. Infrastructure is not a Democrat issue. Infrastructure is an issue for all Mississippians. And I hope we see this bipartisan solution have bipartisan support so that we can get people working to get our infrastructure woes solved. So thank you very much for being here, and let's work together to make this happen over the next few days.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for being here. We do have somewhere we have to be shortly, so I'm going to be brief. I just have three things I want to say. The first is the legislative process is a team sport, and if this point to which we find ourselves today would not be possible without the work of the team. It's been my privilege to work with the governor and the lieutenant governor on this issue. I want to thank the lieutenant governor and his staff for the way they have worked with me and my staff to get us to this point. This could not happen without us coming together and working together to address this very important issue. The second thing I want to say is to those of you who are here, thank you for your level of interest in this issue. If anyone doubts this is an important issue, all they have to do is look at the people who are here today. Supervisors, municipal league, road builders. If anyone is inclined to not support this issue, I would invite them to pay attention to the people who are watching, the level of interest that this thing generates. But more importantly, think about your citizens. Your citizens are watching. The people back home who really count, the voters who really count, are watching what happens here today, and they expect us to come home with a plan that helps improve their quality of life. And then finally, I want to say this is a process. We are starting that process today. We are going to work throughout this day to try to continue to hammer out the details of these bills. You need to be aware that we are going to pass bills on each side of this building. Those bills will come across, and we will work throughout the day to hammer out those details. So this is just the beginning of a process, and we hope that at the end of the day, either today or tomorrow, we will have brought home to the people a plan that will help improve their roads, their bridges, their safety, economic development, and the quality of life that we all enjoy. Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate your attention.
Thank you, Mr. All right, I think they will be here for a few moments. You've got some individual questions. I think the most important thing right now, the speaker said it properly. The legislature is ready to go to work. Let's go get this done. Thank you for being here.
Good job.